Welcome in, Clemson Tiger fans, to another edition of TigerNet Talk, broadcasting live each and every week right here on ClemsonPodcast.com and also on the front page of TigerNet.com. Glad to be with you talking about your Clemson Tigers. We're trying a couple of different things here in studio, as you are probably well aware. Got multiple camera angles rolling for our archive version of the show, which broadcasts on YouTube. I hope you'll go there. If you don't get to catch the show live on Vocal, maybe click some of those sponsors for us. Help us out. We need all the help we can get. We're in the middle of our big ad push, as always, each and every year about this time. We go out and try and find those Clemson Tiger folks, those people out there who want to be involved in this program, who want to support what we're doing, who want to support Clemson athletics. And I think, one of the better, I really believe we have one of the better Clemson talk shows on the web, and perhaps maybe better than many of those that some of you get to watch listen to, I should say, each and every week on your radio stations all across the state. We also have our show Clemson Hotline, which is currently in hiatus. That comes back, though, soon enough. Looking forward to getting kicked off with that in August as the college football season rolls around. But this summer, we continue it on with TigerNet Talk. Now, I'm going to go ahead and break the news to you that we are most likely not going to be doing the show next week, as baby number 2 is finally going to arrive here for the Swan family. So I will probably be out of pocket next week. We do 48 weeks a year on this program, and I'm glad that you are with us. I know we've got a couple of viewers in our chat room on Vocal right now. The numbers are a little bit down tonight, as I believe we are not on the front page of TigerNet as we normally are, but that's okay. We'll get that squared away. I know the guys over there, Crumpet B Mice, do a fantastic job, and they have to take a little vacation as well. And with it being the holiday week, I kind of foresaw that this might be the case. Tweet to us, though, hashtag TNTalk. That's a hashtag TNTalk on Twitter, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That comes right to us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get your thoughts on the Clemson Tigers. Your questions can be taken in the chat room during the first commercial break coming up in just a few minutes. I'm actually going to put it out there that we are getting down, that we are getting busy talking about your Clemson Tigers and a whole lot more here on the program, but I want to give you the rundown of the show. I'm going to put it on Facebook in a couple of different Facebook groups. Join us in our Facebook group, facebook.com/Clemson Podcasts. And always remember that podcast has that S on it. That's key for you people who want to find our program, because a lot of times people will say to me, hey, I can't find your show. I don't know how to get it. But they're leaving off that final S. We do more than one program, and we have continued to try and find better ways to make this program more involved for you all, and I hope that you will enjoy it. I know I clicked the follow my face feature earlier, and I'm going to just spare you that fact that it continues to zoom in. That's not only driving those of you watching the show live crazy, anybody watching the YouTube stream, that was probably driving you crazy as well. 803-450-0086. That's the phone number to dial, 803-450-0086. I want you to come back with us. We're going to be talking about the Orange Bowl agreement with the Atlantic Coast Conference, plus the amounts of money that are pouring into the coffers for conferences, the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC potentially down the road. The ACC right now looking much better than they were just a couple of weeks ago. No longer are they maybe the little sister. While you thought for a moment that you might just see 4 mega conferences, perhaps now the ACC, with this agreement with the Orange Bowl, has secured their seat at the dinner table of the major college football conferences, leaving what looks to be the Big East out of the equation right now. I've promised you a conversation on facilities for quite a while. We are going to keep that one on the back burner just because we had that opportunity to kind of save that. It's been a very special offseason for Clemson Tiger fans everywhere. From Robert Kimdichi's commitment to getting some of the best recruits on campus. We're going to touch on a number of those different recruits here on the program, and we're going to actually put the renovations and all the updates on Death Valley and beautiful Tiger Field and Riggs Field. We're going to put all that on the back burner for a little bit, but stay with us Come back. We're going to go to the chat rooms. We're going to let everybody know on Facebook what's going on. If you're in the room on Vocal, chat with us live. We'll take your text questions talking about the Clemson Tigers here on TigerNet Talk. Stay with us.
Homecoming games are the best on the banks of those late fall, late cartwheel sunsets. I wanted to be just like Jeff Davis when I grew up, tackling Seminoles and Bulldogs, playing football in the mud. So everybody sing Tiger Rag at the top of your lungs, and we'll party like it's 1981.
Hate the thought of shopping? All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
Have you heard? Proactive is better than ever. Stay tuned for a 1,000,000 bottle giveaway. Do you have troubled skin, acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive, your acne can heal, and you can prevent new breakouts from happening. Be one of the first to try it by giving us a call at 1-800-556-2497. Because we're going to let 1,000,000 people try Proactive risk-free and also receive our legendary refining mask and green tea moisturizer free if you call right now. You heard it. Be one of the first to try better than ever Proactive solution. You'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial, plus a free refining mask and green tea moisturizer. Call 1-800-556-2497. This is our best radio offer. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive plus 2 free extras. Go to getproactive.com or call 1-800-556-2497. That's 1-800-556-2497.
Have you ever wondered how you could make a difference in someone's life? What if you could help hundreds or even thousands of children? You might think it impossible, but it's within your reach. Right now, today, students in the U.S. rank 32nd in world math skills. It's time for our children to catch up. And you can help. Become an owner of one of the world's fastest growing franchises, Mathnasium. Mathnasium is the leading math-only learning center in the U.S. Its only purpose is to make our kids better at math. Imagine helping hundreds, even thousands of students in your community improve in school and raise their self-esteem, all while doing something you truly love. Call us at 800-663-9549 to learn more about Mathnasium's exciting franchise opportunities. That's 800-663-9549 to learn how you can make a difference doing something you truly love. That's 800-663-9549. 800-663-9549.
Want to hear the sound of hassle-free traveling?
All aboard!
Amtrak takes the hassle out of traveling to over 500 destinations. You can stretch out in a spacious seat, relax in a sleeping car, and enjoy a hot meal in the dining car. And for those who want to kick back and take in the scenery, go right ahead. For everything you get on Amtrak, the one thing you won't get is this. So whether you're going to a family reunion or an away game, make it a whole lot nicer on Amtrak. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com or call 1-800-USA-RAIL.
All aboard!
Today I don't feel like doing anything. I just wanna lay in my bed.
It's a little late for that. The day is almost done. 10 p.m. Normally we do it on Wednesday. That's part of the issue that we've had. We moved things because of the holiday. And happy 4th of July week to you. I was thinking about the fact that, 4th of July and all these, specific date events that occur on set dates. Man, it just throws you off completely. Like, how many of you feel like today is either Sunday or Monday because you had yesterday off? I can't possibly be the only one that feels that way. It's just, I kind of wish we could celebrate the day on the 4th and do a little bit of time with your friends and family. But if we could just work that calendar out to make it more towards the weekend. I mean, that's kind of that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't know about you guys, but it just throws you off. A lot of people though do take the vacation week this weekend, and you can't blame them, except for the fact that traveling up and down the highways would be ridiculous, and spending all that money, man, that is something else. Gas prices drifted down a little bit, but peaked quickly. They came bouncing back up after the weekend. I don't know. I don't understand gas prices and fluctuation in the market, but you didn't tune in to hear that anyway. You tuned in to hear about your Clemson Tigers, and I'm glad to be here with you. Ways you can participate. Hashtag TN Talk on Twitter. In the chat rooms on Vocal, I see we got Daniel and Sophie up in here. They're chatting away. I really appreciate them taking the time out of their evening to join us, and I appreciate you taking time out of your evening to download the podcast or maybe watch the show as you are on maybe the YouTube channel. I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can get involved in the program, and we definitely like to have you all involved. Got an email I want to get to a little later in the show. Very interesting email that came in. We've got all that, much more. Check out our website, ClemsonPodcast.com. Go in there, look at the store. We've got some new T-shirts we're selling. We've got a whole lot going on. We're always looking for more advertisers, and we'll let you know. We'll update you on our radio affiliates for Clemson Hotline. Now, the Clemson Tigers got some good news, and maybe even more so, the Atlantic Coast Conference got some good news, I think, with the 12-year agreement that was made between the conference and the Orange Bowl. Now, the Orange Bowl, big plus for them. They're moving back. They are moving back to New Year's Day, January 1st, 1 p.m., 2014, the Orange Bowl back on New Year's Day. And that's a special move. There was nothing worse. And this is one thing, the BCS, for everything people said they liked about it, some of the things that a lot of people disliked, me especially, I really hated this fact, was that they moved these games around. And you had the national championship game played on, I believe this year, January the 10th. And it just took away. There was something fun when you were growing up about gathering around the TV on that holiday, January 1st, and being able to watch those great bowl games. And then the games started drifting to maybe January 2nd. Then you saw a few to the 3rd. And then when you added in the championship game a little bit further on down the line, it just really, I think, took away from what it meant to go to a bowl game. If going to bowl games meant a whole lot to you anyway. Well, the Atlantic Coast Conference champion is going to go to the Orange Bowl unless they qualify for one of those top 4 spots in the BCS. So that could potentially mean, just like it has in the past, that except for now there's 4 spots available. In the old days, let's say Virginia Tech, for example, had gone undefeated through the Atlantic Coast Conference. Maybe they had lost a couple of games but were qualified for the BCS championship. Maybe they only lost 1 game or went undefeated. They were qualified for the BCS championship game. Well, then a team like Clemson, like Florida State, could have jumped into that Orange Bowl. So that possibility existed for 2 teams from the Atlantic Coast Conference to get into a BCS bowl, just like it did for the SEC, just like it did for the other conferences and their tie-ins with bowl games in the BCS format. Because basically, you had a playoff before. It was just a little small 2-team playoff, which was, not exactly the most exciting playoff that you got to tune into. And I think last year's ratings with Alabama and LSU, a rematch of the game from earlier in the season in the SEC. In fact, last year was the first time any conference has ever had 3 teams get in. Well, with that window open a little bit bigger for 4 teams to get in, all of a sudden, there are 4 slots available. So the possibility exists that right now, a team like Clemson, a team like Florida State, if you perhaps you come up short of the Atlantic Coast Conference championship, maybe you lose in that championship game, you could still end up in the Orange Bowl if the team that beat you is going into the BCS top 4 slots, which is a pretty big deal. Now, here's where it gets even better for the ACC. If there are 2 teams in the top 4, which has never happened, but if there are 2 Atlantic Coast Conference teams in the top 4, meaning Virginia Tech and Clemson go undefeated through the regular season. Virginia Tech's 1 in the poll. Clemson's 2. They play a very tight, grueling game in the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship. It's a squeaker. Virginia Tech maybe comes up a little bit short. Clemson would go in as the Atlantic Coast Conference champion into the top 4 playoff. Maybe they're the number 1 seed in this world we're talking about. Virginia Tech may drop to 4. Perhaps they're in. Maybe you get a rematch. That's going to be the only problem with that theory working out, I think. Maybe you're more likely to see something like you saw in the SEC where two teams on the same side of the conference somehow end up ranked in the top four. Maybe Clemson squeaks by Florida State, but Florida State goes undefeated the rest of the way. They don't have to play Clemson in the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship. That's probably the more likely scenario, or you maybe end up with some rematches in the first round, which people may not like. But if that were to happen, which is, probably not very likely, I want you to think on this question for a second. This is why I pose it to you. Who is the last ACC team to only lose one game, not go undefeated, only lose one game in conference? Just chew on that for a few minutes, and we'll get back and tell you who that is. But if that scenario that I just presented were to occur, two Atlantic Coast Conference teams in that top four, that BCS playoff, whatever you want to call it, then a third team from the Atlantic Coast Conference would have a spot in the Orange Bowl. So there's a lot of potential there. The ACC owns the rights to the TV contract with the Orange Bowl. You can bet that this is going to happen in some of the other bowl games. The thing about it is, though, in these other bowl games, you're going to have two conferences trying to split that piece of pie. In the Atlantic Coast Conference's deal with the Orange Bowl right now, the Atlantic Coast Conference controls it. Now, it could be Notre Dame. Maybe there's some kind of other agreement with another conference at some point, but most likely Notre Dame's going to be in the mix. You got to hope, though, that it's a 10-2, 9-3 Notre Dame. Maybe they'll have some stipulation on ranking, because I can't imagine playing a Notre Dame team that just, doesn't have that national pull. A 7-5 Notre Dame team better not be in that game against Clemson, because I can tell you this, from the standpoint of trying to make money, people who are watching at home are probably going to be thinking, boring. I mean, just a snooze fest, because nobody cares to see Notre Dame at 7-5 playing in a bowl game, a major bowl game. The Orange Bowl? Are you kidding me? No. But the potential is there if the Atlantic Coast Conference can have a special year, just a couple of teams. Miami starting to play like they were expected to play when they came into the league. Miami, a team that hasn't even played, folks, in the Atlantic Coast Conference championship game. All those years of greatness in the 80s, the powerful program that comes into the Atlantic Coast Conference in 2004 and has yet to play in the championship game. I'll be honest with you, that may be one of the biggest surprises in all of college football in that time. The decline of Notre Dame and the decline of Miami. But the possibility exists. Now, we don't know exactly how that money is going to be divvied up. But let's just, for a minute, take a look at it and assume that the ACC sells the Orange Bowl to a network for, say, $75 million. I was going to go with $100 million, but I know that was a little bit too much. 75 might be high, but we'll go with that for this story. Let's say you give your opponent, the Atlantic Coast Conference decides they're going to give their opponent $5 million. That leaves $70 million for the 14 ACC schools to split. That's $5 million for everybody in the conference. Whether you're Duke, who probably isn't going to a bowl, or Virginia Tech or Clemson or Florida State, one of those powerhouse Atlantic Coast Conference programs. Every team in the league gets the same paycheck as the team who was in the bowl game opposing your conference champion, I should say. Now, let's assume that was the third place team for a minute. Let's put the third place Atlantic Coast Conference team, because two guys qualified for the BCS playoff. That would bring in $70 million for your conferences. The two teams in the BCS tournament have an opportunity to bring in, and I guess I shouldn't even call it the BCS tournament, but in this new format, this Final Four format, maybe $100 million apiece. The potential exists now to maybe bring in $270 million or more to the conference. I mean, these numbers may be some fairy tale world. Maybe I'm way off on that. But if you just assume that for a minute and you divide that by 14 teams in this league, you're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $20 million per team each year. That might not be SEC money. It might not rival what the SEC is going to get out of their next big contracts with their bowl games, but that's pretty substantial for just your bowl revenue. It would be tough to get two teams in. Let's don't kid ourselves. You start throwing that number out, it seems all great. But it would be tough to place those teams there. Now, have you figured out that team with one conference loss? I'm going to go back to the chat room. Not Miami. Not Miami. Last Atlantic Coast Conference team to have one loss. Your 2001 Maryland Terrapins and Coach Ralph Friedgen. That's right. It has not been a stellar 12 or so years for the Atlantic Coast Conference. It's been a pretty down few years for the ACC. And that's why you had a lot of people worrying that this conference was on the brink of destruction, really. I mean, to give you some idea of what the Atlantic Coast Conference has been like since the full expansion, since everybody's been in the league, Virginia Tech, Boston College, Miami. The teams who have played in the conference championship game, Virginia Tech has played in 5. They are 3-2. Clemson, second on that list, has played in 2 games. They're 1-1, along with Florida State, Georgia Tech, Boston College. Those 4 teams there each played in 2. And Wake Forest played in 1. Wake Forest, oddly enough, has the best winning percentage. They are 1 for 1 in the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship game. We're going to head out to a short break. More TigerNet Talk right around the corner. Stay with us. Hello, Tiger fans. TigerNet Talk is seeking advertisement for the 2011-2012 campaign. Multiple ad spots are available. Hit your target market. That's right, Clemson Tiger fans, by advertising with us. Contact Lawton Swan at clemson81@gmail.com. That's clemson81@gmail.com for prices, packages, and options. And as always, go Tigers!
Hate the thought of shopping? All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
I'm feeling like a star, you can't stop my shine. I'm flying cloud 9, my head's in the sky.
As always, we are live on Vocal, front page of TigerNet, fired up, and the people have poured in. Appreciate everybody being here with us. We've talked about the Orange Bowl, the ties with the Atlantic Coast Conference, and I think that's a big thumbs up for Clemson fans all over the country. 803-450-0086 is the phone number to reach us. We'd love to hear from you here on the program. Always feel free to give us a call and let us know your thoughts on the Clemson Tigers, the upcoming season. Hashtag TN Talk on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. We're at Clemson Podcast. And you heard that commercial. That's the old ad commercial. I gotta fix that because we're now seeking advertisers for the 2012-2013 football season. Hard to believe it's already here, and I am looking forward to the next 50 or so days to go by pretty quickly so that we can get into that matchup against the Auburn Tigers and what will be the rubber match between Clemson and Auburn, as those two ball clubs have played a couple of really good games the past few seasons. Clemson coming that ever so close to being the team that kept Auburn from playing from the national championship just a couple of seasons ago in that first year with Cam Newton. And, you know, when we talk about the money that's going to be pouring in, you know, I started thinking about the differences in college football and professional football. And it's funny because, you know, the ability for the Orange Bowl and for the ACC to control that money is pretty big. To be able to take it out on the market is a huge, huge thing right now for this league. But I don't think they're going to be the only league that it happens for. So it's not like it's going to be unique in, say, a couple of months or two, maybe. Maybe some other bowls and some other conferences have some agreements that get put together. And so as you look at it that way, you've got to take advantage of the fact that at least right now, that opportunity exists to really capitalize on this in the media and maybe make that Orange Bowl game something. If you can get the right teams in there, the right alternate opponents, make that game even more special. Now, the other thing that's interesting is if the Orange Bowl is one of those games that's hosting a semifinal and your team didn't make it in that Final Four, Clemson's going to have opportunities to play in bowl games like the Rose Bowl. That wasn't there really recently. I mean, the choice was kind of on the table if you finished high and you weren't in the championship game. But most of the time you were going to end up playing in the Orange Bowl out of the Atlantic Coast Conference. Now you would have had to be like Virginia Tech this past season and get that Sugar Bowl berth as an at-large bid. All of a sudden now you could win your conference, not be in that tournament, and play in the Rose Bowl. Pretty unique opportunities and new bowl games have now opened up for Clemson, for the Atlantic Coast Conference, and I think that's a positive. I think to in the old days, the Big Ten and the Pac-10 were the only conferences that could really sell to recruits. Hey, you're going to play in the Rose Bowl. It opened up a little bit more with the BCS era. Now it's really opened up. Clemson can actually say in specific years, if we win our conference this season, we could end up in the Rose Bowl. Now, you could also end up, if you play well enough, in the BCS tournament. But that's a nice thought if you're a Clemson fan. The opportunity being there to play in some of these other major bowl games, to take your team across the country. That's just an added bonus to it all. But when you really start thinking about the money that's pouring in, and people are constantly talking about the coaches' salaries and how much they've skyrocketed and how high they've gotten in the past few seasons. This new contract with this college playoff is going to take the estimated numbers from $155 million to $600 million, maybe more. Over $500 million coming in. Where else is that money going to go? They're not paying the players. In the NFL, every player is getting paid X amount of dollars. Some are getting paid millions. At college, these kids are going to school. Sure, you're paying for room and board. You got to fly them around. You got to feed them. You got to have training staffs and weight rooms and everything. Where else is that money going to go? It's going to pour in to the coaches' pockets. Scott, you would be better off. I'm going to be honest with you. You are better off being a coach at the collegiate level than you are at the NFL level, because you're not having to split your money or your corporation's money, and that's what these college programs have turned into. You don't have to split your corporation's money with other multimillionaires. It's why you've seen the salaries of guys like Chad Morris, who's the highest paid coordinator in the country, go from $450,000 to $1.3 million in one season. One season. Brent Venables comes in, $800,000, somewhere in that range. The money is there. The money is, and now it's going to continue to come in. And let's admit this, when Tommy Bowden took over this program, the arms race of facilities was not in Clemson's favor. It just wasn't. You look at the West End Zone, the dream that and now the reality that that's become, you can already see, I think, by the recruits that have looked into our program, the recruits who are saying they're coming into our program, on down the line. I think it directly reflects on the money that's been put into facilities and the way that we have improved Clemson as the aesthetic appeal of Death Valley is unbelievable, and it's getting better with more screens. 2 screens in the West Zone, a bigger screen, actually a full screen No ads in the east end zone. I've been asking for that for years. Thank goodness that's finally coming. Dabo Swinney makes $1.9 million a year. That's nothing compared to a guy like Nick Saban who makes $5.26 million. Tons and tons of money in the SEC and these in the Big 12. These conferences have it pouring in, and they have nobody else to give it to but the coaches and the facilities. They're not paying the professors at the school millions and millions of dollars. It's got to go to somebody. It's going to go to construction and right in the pockets of these coaching staffs. Some guys like Dabo Swinney do to his credit, spread some of that money around when he gets a bonus for maybe playing in a BCS bowl game. He'll try and spread it around a little bit. And I don't know how many coaches out there do that, but I'm sure plenty of them do who want to keep the great staff around them. You know, the thought process for a lot of these guys like Chad Morris now becomes, do you go to a school where you have to work your way up? You have to climb that ladder a la Gus Malzahn, hello, going to Arkansas State. Or do you stay at a school like Clemson and make $1.3 million, and rarely are you going to face the scrutiny? You know, only on certain occasions is the offensive coordinator going to be the guy, or even the defensive coordinator going to be the guy who everybody's going to blame. You have a 70-33 debacle in the Orange Bowl, yeah, you're the defensive coordinator, you're going to get blamed for that one. You have an offensive performance like you did at NC State, you're the offensive coordinator, you're going to get blamed for that one. But most of the time, it's going to fall back on the head coach. And if you're patient enough at $1.3 million, Chad Morris, you can be there as long as you want, making him be a multimillionaire and never really have to stress out over running a program. If you go to a smaller school, you won't make as much money. If you fail, you may never get back to where you once were. You know, are these smaller schools going to come in? The only people who are going to come in and get a guy like Chad Morris are the bigger schools. Michigan, Ohio State, you know, tried to come after him with Urban Meyer because Urban Meyer liked what he saw. So for guys like Morris and Venables, with the skyrocketing salaries, man, they're in a good spot right now, a great spot, maybe the best spot in all of coaching. I can't think of a much better spot. Maybe if you were an assistant for Phil Jackson during his run with the Chicago Bulls. I mean, that was probably a pretty sweet gig. But if you want to know where that money's going, look around. And you know, there was an article today, matter of fact, David Hood, talking about the numbers of ticket sales to the opening game against Auburn in Atlanta, and the fact that there are 6,000 tickets available, still Clemson tickets, and only 1,000 in the lower arena, 5,000 in the upper deck. And people wondered why that's happening. Have you looked at the television sets lately? Have you walked into Best Buy and seen an 80-inch TV? Do you have a 120-inch yet? Some of you might, projectors, high definition. The reason those tickets are there is because you can watch the game at home and not leave your couch, not have to spend the money, deal with the hassle, go to Atlanta, find a hotel room, everything that's involved in that, not to mention on the back-to-backer of Tennessee and NC State on that Friday night, which is just going to be unbelievably cramped in the hotel situations. I can only imagine. I mean, people want to know why those games aren't selling. It's because people are going to stay at home. Now, it may end up being a sellout. It may be close. People enjoy watching games at home. It's the reason road attendance is down. Everybody puts on such a big spread, and you can't blame them. They put on such a big spread for the home games that when it comes time to go on the road, a lot of times people say, you know what, this is going to be my weekend to rest and relax. Stay with us. Quick recruiting tidbits, and then we're out of here. Appreciate you all being with us on TigerNet Talk. I'm Lawton Swan. Stay with us through this break. Final one.
I ain't speaking about a jersey, I'm speaking about income. Did you hear that, Elizabeth? Here come the big one.
Have you ever wondered how you could make a difference in someone's life? What if you could help hundreds or even thousands of children? You might think it impossible, but it's within your reach. Right now, today, students in the U.S. rank 32nd in world math skills. It's time for our children to catch up. And you can help. Become an owner of one of the world's fastest growing franchises, Mathnasium. Mathnasium is the leading math-only learning center in the U.S. Its only purpose is to make our kids better at math. Imagine helping hundreds, even thousands of students in your community improve in school and raise their self-esteem, all while doing something you truly love. Call us at 800-663-9549 to learn more about Mathnasium's exciting franchise opportunities. That's 800-663-9549 to learn how you can make a difference doing something you truly love. That's 800-663-9549. 800-663-9549.
Hate the thought of shopping? All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
Listen, if you're considering buying hardwood flooring, don't do anything until you've written down this number and received your free Lumber Liquidators catalog.
The flooring with high quality with an unbeatable price tag.
Call in the next 10 minutes to get your free catalog.
What I bought at Lumber Liquidators is a vastly higher quality than flooring I had installed 6 years ago, and for a fraction of the cost.
So if you want great hardwood flooring at unbeatable prices, trust Lumber Liquidators. We buy direct from the mills. Call right now to get our flooring guide and catalog absolutely free. It's filled with top quality hardwood flooring, including solid hardwoods, laminates, and bamboos, and even Bellawood pre-finished flooring with a 100-year transferable warranty. The same floor Bob Vila has in his home. This free catalog is full of tips, ideas, and our flooring project list to make your buying decisions easy. Hurry, call right now to get a copy of this free guide and catalog. Call 877-238-6302 to get your free copy now. 877-238-6302. 877-238-6302.
As you can tell, there's one thing I definitely need here on TigerNet Talk, live on Vocal, on the front page of TigerNet.com and on ClemsonPodcast.com. Go by there, check out our Tiger store that we just opened up. Got a couple of T-shirts in there just for fun. But I think it's some pretty quality stuff. We get all our stuff manufactured through Edisto Outdoors. Those guys treat us right. Check out their website. Unbelievable stuff. They are local. They're Clemson people. They're Clemson graduates. They do an unbelievable job. EdistoOutdoors.com. That's the place you need to go. As soon as you're done with this show, you go there. But we're going to head out to the phones. We've got Mark calling in from the great state of Maryland. I wish I had it queued up. Crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does. Mark, welcome into the program.
Lawton, how you doing tonight, man?
Oh, great, man. It's good to be here. It's nice to talk with Clemson Tiger people each and every week, and most notably, guys like yourself who could tune in from afar, if you will.
Yes, right up the East Coast, about probably 8-9 hours from you. So, but I had to call in, listen to the show. Great show, by the way. And it's funny what you mentioned with college sports nowadays, with the money aspect of it. And because I don't know if you know this, but Maryland just cut 7 sports. And it would have been 8, but men's
football,
men's track and field held on to it from private donations, so they can have one more season. But when we talk about economy hits everything, and people should not be surprised about these numbers you're throwing out when you're talking about millions of dollars for coaches. Football, people who don't know this, football runs college sports. Easy as that. If a football team is making money, the school is making money. If it were the other way, Duke would have a great football team because of their basketball team, but it doesn't work that way. The reason why Ohio State, the reason why Florida, the reason why these SEC and these big college basketball teams are doing well now is because football runs everything else. It is the cash cow. I have no problem with the money that football is bringing in. It's deserved. They have the big. I mean, it runs college sports. For people who don't understand that, that is the truth.
Well, where do you put the responsibility of college football to take care of these other programs?
You know what? I really don't think you can't do it yet. If you want to put the responsibility on something, it has to be football. But at the same time, who gets the advertising? Who gets the sponsorships? Who gets the kids who want? I mean, for a team, for instance, for a team like Boise State, and this is a great example. If Boise State came out of the blue and had a great baseball program, who do you think would have heard about it? I'm on the East Coast. You think I would have heard about it? No. But the fact that Boise State comes out and has a great football, I'll say a quarterback, their competition was, so-so. But the fact that the football team had such success, that's what makes it a nationwide thing. So that's, people may feel different, but football is a cash cow. And if a school wants to take that football money and say, okay, now I want a good basketball team, hey, more power to them.
No, it's a good point. I like your reference there. You said Boise State came out of the blue. I think you meant literally they came out of the blue. Well, Mark, hey, man, I appreciate you tuning in as always, and give us a call anytime, tweet to us, whatever you got to do, man. Take part in the show. We definitely appreciate it and look forward to hearing again from you out of the state of Maryland.
Sounds good. Go Tigers.
All right, Mark there calling in. Appreciate him checking in with us here on the program. Got an email from Rick. And every once in a while, we get kind of these obscure emails here to the program. Email us, clemson81@gmail.com. That's pretty easy to remember for all you national championship people out there. You guys remember that, clemson81@gmail.com. Although I must say, January 1st, 1982 was a good day. You know what I'm talking about. Get that T-shirt. Check out our store. Get that T-shirt. You want that T-shirt. Anyway, Rick writes in and says he was sitting in the airport in Minneapolis a couple of weeks ago. And he was wearing his Clemson gear. Flight was delayed. This guy sits down beside him. He says, Clemson. Something like that. And he looked over. It's Bill Goldberg, former WCW champion, WWE wrestler. Rick says that Bill reminds him, or shall I just call him Goldberg? Goldberg reminds him that he played at Georgia, and of course, Rick started going through his phone to look up the record during this time at Georgia. The Bulldogs were 1-2 against Clemson and actually never beat Clemson in Clemson during Bill Goldberg's time. So he says, hey, Goldberg, did you ever win a game at Clemson? And Goldberg answers back, nah, we got killed up there. So in 85, Clemson lost to Georgia 20-13. In 86, Clemson beat Georgia 31-28. In 87, Clemson beat Georgia 21-20. And in 88, Bill Goldberg apparently, Clemson and Georgia didn't play during Bill Goldberg's tenure there. So the Tigers went on the road to Athens and got the job done one season. I believe that was in 87. So 1-2 did Bill Goldberg go. Rick says he went on to tell him, that Goldberg went on to tell him that he was originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, told him the story how he ended up in Georgia, and on and on. He asked Goldberg what he thought of Mark Richt. Goldberg said he doesn't like him, and he thinks his coaching style is outdated. He referenced Rick suspending kids for cussing and stuff like that. And also for kids getting kicked off the team for guns and weapons and all that that's going on over there at Georgia. Georgia has become almost like Miami North now. I really do feel bad. We used to do, and may still do at times, we might kick it back up in the fall, our Southern Sports Talk program, Y'all Sports Daily. Every time I turned around, I was reporting about an incident for the Georgia Bulldogs, something going on with their players. You got to be careful when you're recruiting these guys. You want to get guys that are not only talented, but also guys who are, I hate to use the term well-mannered. I think that is part of it, but also disciplined during the downtime. It's easy for a coach to keep their finger on a player during the season. It's during the off season when these guys really struggle. Now we're going to take a quick look because I know we're getting very close to the end of our program. We've been rolling on here for quite a while. Appreciate everybody being with us. Montravis Adams was actually on campus at Clemson. He's considered to be one of the top defensive tackles in the country, the number one overall defensive tackle, in fact, by Rivals. And he is high on Clemson. His mom, though, is sort of not exactly in Clemson's camp. She is leaning a little bit maybe towards Alabama. We mentioned that last week. He claims to have no leader at this time. He will make a decision after his senior year. He was hanging out with players, etc., on campus. It would be a great pickup for Clemson. They've also got a couple of other targets. DeMarcus Walker, his dad, kind of like Montravis' mom, sort of favors Alabama, and you can't blame them. When you look at that defense that Nick Saban's put out there and you look at what Clemson was able to do last season defensively, it's not a difficult sell to a defensive player. Hey, you come to Alabama, you'll play on the best defense in the country. But having those two guys in the mix for Clemson is very good. Michael Hill, the best prospect in the state of South Carolina, committed to Ohio State earlier. I believe it was the end of last week, just after we did our show midweek. Clemson is still going to try and maybe get him back on campus, but it looks like he's pretty solid to Ohio State. Kendall Fuller, the number one overall cornerback in the country. Rivals actually has this kid ranked as the number 3 overall recruit. He sent a recent text message recently stating that Virginia Tech and Clemson were neck and neck, followed up by Michigan, he even mentioned them trailing. So, we kind of talked about him a few weeks ago, feeling that same way. He actually had Michigan a little bit closer up in the mix. Now, though, Kendall Fuller will be visiting Clemson on July 20th, also the same date as Montravis Adams will be coming in. He's currently teammates with Clemson commit Dorian O'Daniel. They've got another young player on their team a year behind them coming up that Clemson's in the mix with. Vernon Hargreaves, a guy I've talked about here a good bit, cornerback out of the state of Florida. I believe his father's on the coaching staff at South Florida, the Bulls, excuse me. He says that Miami and Clemson are recruiting him the hardest right now. He has over 30 offers. He's one of the top players in the country at the defensive back position. You would think those DBs would look at a guy like Kim Dichie, look at a guy like maybe Adams coming in there on the defensive line and think to themselves, pressure on the quarterback? These guys are going to be throwing the ball a little bit quicker. Maybe I can make a living eating up passes. Mackenzie Alexander is also another guy Clemson's in the mix for. Adrian Baker, primetime, committed to Florida State. A little bit of an embarrassing scenario for him earlier this week. He commits to Florida State, puts it out there on Facebook. But maybe they weren't quite as interested as he thought. Sort of put him on hold for a minute. But then I think maybe to save face a little bit, Jimbo Fisher smoothed things over. He is now on board with the Florida State Seminoles. So you can pretty much take him right now off the board for Clemson. Offensive line, you've got Tyrone Crowder, strong kid, cousin of Stephon Anthony. He's a big guy. He didn't work out when he was up at Clemson, but he is going to be trimming his list down this month. Offensive lineman Austin Drugsma also. He's a Florida State legacy guy. His father, I believe, played at Florida State. He is still in the mix with Florida State and Clemson. The running back scenario, I know you guys like to talk about the offensive guys. Derek Green, number 1 overall running back in the country. Speed, strength, vision, size. He's trimmed his list to 13. But let me tell you about this kid. We talk about high character guys. Listen to what Derek Green did. He called 20 of those schools. Of the 33 schools that he said he had offers from, he called 20 of them to tell them thank you for recruiting him, but no thanks. It's class. That's the kind of guy you want in your program. Derek Green did it the right way. He's a guy you want to keep your eye on. Number 1 overall running back in the country. Tyshawn Dye out of Elberton, Georgia, is a 4-star guy. He's down to Clemson and Auburn. Tennessee trailing there. and Alvin Kamara, who was just on campus with Ryan Jenkins, brother of Martin Jenkins. Ryan Jenkins, a wide receiver in this class. He's down to Oklahoma State and Clemson, but Alvin Kamara was there as well. Those two guys are buddies. They were just on campus hanging out, getting a feel for the program. As for wide receivers, Ryan Jenkins, the kid I just mentioned, who I'm not very high on. I'll be honest with you. I'm not very high on Martin Jenkins' brother, but you got to have those slot wide receivers, 5'11", 180 pounds roughly, one of those quick guys, kind of shifty. You've got to have him in your program. He's down to a couple of great passing programs, Oklahoma State and Clemson. He's supposed to be making his announcement at the opening out in Oregon, which, is beginning to go on. So there's no telling. I mean, by the time some of you pick this up on podcast, we may have heard from Ryan Jenkins. Marquez North, the number one wide receiver in the country. He's got a top 6. He's got Clemson at the front. It looks right now Clemson's definitely in the mix. Another great season by a guy like Sammy Watkins. And there's no mistaking the fact that I think this kid could easily be a Clemson Tiger. You've also got Demarcus Robinson as well and a couple other players. But we'll leave it there. That's just kind of a touch on some of the targets right now for the Clemson Tigers and where this recruiting class could go. It could be a very, very special year for your Clemson Tigers. I mean, Dabo Swinney continues to impress not just a lot of the fan base, I think, but he also has impressed a lot of the moms out there, a lot of these kids. They've come in, they see the family atmosphere, and when you hear things like what Derek Green did to call those other programs, that's the kind of kid you want involved, believe me. And those things rub off on the next class as they come in. So keep your eyes on it. We'll continue to cover it here on the program. Again, probably not going to have a show next week. I'll schedule it on Vocal. If it goes down, it will be up. And if it does not go down, it will not. As baby number 2, first little girl in the family, will arrive here in the next few days. Appreciate y'all being with us. Check out our website, ClemsonPodcasts.com. We're looking for advertisers. As always, we've got great rates, all the information there on the front page. I look forward to having you involved in our program and supporting this Clemson-based program and show. Thanks very much. We'll see y'all next time. And as always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers!